Hey ladies, are you feeling overwhelmed by hormonal changes? Well, you're definitely not alone. There are more than 1,000 hormone disruptors living in our environment right now. It's in your food, your water, the air you breathe, the clothes you wear, your skincare products. They all mess with your hormones. Then there's the natural hormone changes your body goes through, premenopause, menopause. And while it's a natural process, it doesn't mean you have to suffer through it. The good news is you don't have to suffer through it anymore because now you have Hormone Harmony, a formula made only with herbal ingredients that are shown to reduce hormonal symptoms in women of all ages. Hormone Harmony is not just a hormone supporting supplement, it's become a phenomenon. Women can't stop talking about it on social media. A bottle of Hormone Harmony is sold every 24 seconds. And the biggest benefit? Well, my wife says it makes her feel like her own self again. And that's what women mention over and over in the reviews. And there are over 30,000 reviews for Hormone Harmony. And for a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use code RLRC at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC for 15% off today. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC.
I don't want no jet black woman. Oh, she do me, oh, she do me. I don't want no jet black woman. Oh, she do me, oh, she do me. I don't want no sugar in my coffee. It make me mean, Lord, it make me mean. I don't want no sugar in my coffee. It make me mean, Lord, Lord, it make me mean.
Warning. Each episode of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast, will contain descriptions of acts of violence or of a sexual nature and are for people that are 18 years or older. Heed my warning, people. I do not get the facts of these cases off the internet or from some television show. These facts I'm retelling were presented to me by the victims of the crime or the perpetrators who committed the crimes. My descriptions of the crime scenes are what I saw with my own two eyes. If you are going to get offended, turn this podcast off now. Thank you. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. And I'm your host, Woody Overton. Today, we're going to be doing the next part in the Screwdriver Red series, and it's titled Justice for Kaitlin. Before we start, I want to say stay tuned at the end of the show. And as always, I'm going to be giving some shout outs to our fans and making some announcements about some exciting things we have coming up. And also we'll be doing a promo at the end of the announcements for a podcast called Genuine Chit Chat and the host Mike Burton. So y'all stay tuned for that and check it out at the end. Okay. So when I left you last, Mark Lewis had been arrested, charged first degree murder of Kaitlin Adele. And approximately a month later, maybe a month and a week, I think it was the first week of March, we had a grand jury on Kaitlin's case. In the grand jury, I was a secret meeting of 12 people. It's run by the district attorney, and the district attorney puts on evidence of what they have, and they let the jury decide what to come back and charge the person with. And so we did it, Ben testified, basically to the same facts that y'all have heard already. And the grand jury returned with an indictment of second degree murder, which that's a still mandatory life in prison for Mark Lewis if he gets convicted. Now, death penalty Do I think it's warranted in this case? Certainly I do. And I think probably every person that sat on that grand jury thought the same thing. But to be technically fair, it's probably a really hard one to do, to get the death penalty in this case. Not because it's not a horrific crime, because it is, but all the evidence we had was what they call circumstantial evidence, right? We didn't have anybody to put Mark Lewis and Kaitlin together that day physically, that saw them together. We didn't physically, for sure, have the positive crime scene. I mean, everything we have is circumstantial, but it was good circumstantial. So today we're going to talk about the time from when Mark Lewis was locked up, go into the trial and see how far we can get. The first thing I would like to talk about is Kaitlin Adele. And y'all, she was 13 years old and lived with her mom, and just everybody loved her. Her funeral was held that week after she was found in the bayou, and it was a sea of pink. Everybody had pink on, pink ribbons, pink shirts. Miss Danette, the mom, said one little girl came up to her at the wake and handed her a pink softball that was signed by all the players, and she thought it was one of Kaitlin's teammates on the French settlement team. But later on, when she got home, she realized that was a softball from a whole nother town. It's called Springfield, Louisiana. That was from their softball team, and it's really reached out and touched people. The death of this sweet baby girl. I told you my own daughter was the same age, and her name was Kate Lee. So it was kind of, I'd worked a lot of homicides and stuff, but this one's just always been tough. And the mom was such a sweet lady, Miss Danette. I think the overwhelming support from the community, it just came out and just absolutely supported Miss Danette, Adele, and the family members in their time of grief. And the whole community came together. It's such a testimony to the people down here, not only in South Louisiana, but from all over. I mean, she had people from all over the world sending her stuff, and certainly all over the United States. But it laid Kaitlin to rest, and it didn't stop there. Somebody put together a bass tournament. I don't remember who it was, but they put together a bass tournament, and it raised like $8,000, I think, for Kaitlin's funeral expenses. If you don't know what a bass tournament is, you live outside the country, it's a tournament, a fishing tournament, and it's a certain type of fish they fish for. Each boat usually has 2 people in it, and they charge you an admission fee per head. And whoever has the most weight of fish at the end of the tournament, whether it's 1 day or 2 day, they win the prize money at the end. But just that tournament alone raised a lot of money. And then in May, 4 days or 3 or 4 days before what would have been Kaitlin's 14th birthday, they put on a huge benefit for her at a place called the Moonlight Inn. And the Moonlight Inn is right in the heart of the French settlement country, if you will. It's a mainstay, long-term running, I call them swamp bars, but everybody knows about the Moonlight. And there have been a lot of famous people that have played there over the years. And it's a local watering hole. And man, the owner, and then really put it out. And you had all these small businesses came out and donated stuff. There was food. There was jambalaya, spaghetti, hamburgers, hot dogs, snacks, cakes, whatever. I think they said they sold like, I don't know, 300 or 400 plates of jambalaya, and they sold all the food, like 250 spaghetti boxes. And one lady that had donated a cake, they had an auction also, and one lady had donated a cake, her coconut cake sold for $100. Another restaurant, I think it's closed now, Dutch's Seafood, they had some $50 gift certificates they donated, and they sold for like $100 each. So people were paying way above and beyond just because they could. Budweiser sponsored it. Miller Lite sponsored it. They had Budweiser coolers that were going for $500 at the auction, and just can't really say enough about what the people did to support Kaitlin. And so what did Miss Danette do? This is a lady who lost her only child. And I'm a father of 4, man, and I can't even fathom it, right? And she lost her only child in the most horrific way possible. And goes to show her character. What does she do? She takes that money from the fundraiser and establishes a scholarship in Kaitlin's name to be given away to 2 French settlement high school seniors, one that's shown the most improvement in basketball and one that's shown the most improvement in softball when they graduate. And Miss Danette said, I'm going to make sure I'm part of the process. And I don't want them to give it to the best player. I want them to give it to the most improved player, because Kaitlin wasn't the best player, but she worked hard every day to be better and better at it. And she loved softball and basketball. And Miss Danette said she wanted the scholarship to go on year after year. And it was going to be funded by the recurring bass tournaments and benefits that are put on by the Moonlight and them every year for sweet little Kaitlin. So that's to the character of Miss Danette. God bless her, be able to step up and turn the tragedy into a blessing for other people's lives for years and years to come. Meanwhile, let's get back to the case. Okay. So Lewis is locked up. What happens detective wise? Well, I told you we did the search warrant on his residence and took his computer. So it's being gone through forensically, right? And the phone records are being looked at on Kaitlin's end, and the truck is being processed. We know they found some blood and some blonde hairs in the truck, but that has to be identified by DNA. And I believe to help expedite the process, part of it was actually sent out to a private lab because the state police were just so backed up with the DNA. And other witnesses are coming forward and giving statements about Lewis and pretty much his depravity, what a piece of shit he was. And I'll go into that in a little while when we're talking about the trial. So the case proceeds, and you have your usual motions and just typical bullshit. But the one thing I won't forget about it is every time there was a hearing about Kaitlin's case, that courtroom was flooded with pink. The people showed up, Justice for Kaitlin shirts and shirts with Kaitlin's face on it, and everybody showed up and packed the house to support Miss Danette. And that son of a bitch walked in. And for those hearings, it's not like trial where you get to wear civilian clothing and you're not chained up. He walked in chained up like the little bitch that he is. And he would just walk in and smile at all the people in pink, right? He's a sick fuck. And the news media would catch him coming and going from court and ask him, Mark Lewis, did you do it? No, I didn't do it, but God bless y'all and have a great day. That kind of shit, smiling at the camera. He's hamming it up, and it just burned my ass, man. He just played it. I mean, he loved it. It was like he got off on it every time when he was in the spotlight. So anyway, time progresses, the investigation progresses, and it comes time to prepare for trial. It was more than a year later. I had already gone to the Louisiana State Police as a criminal investigator too. And I had left the sheriff's office and transferred to the Louisiana State Police as a criminal investigator too, out of headquarters in Baton Rouge, which wasn't that far away. But I got called in by Charlotte Hebert. You've heard me talk about her many times. She was absolutely top notch. And Scott Perilou, who's a district attorney. Scott Perilou's go-to for the biggest cases at the time. And now Charlotte has since gone on to be a judge for the 21st Judicial. Anyway, she calls me in, and it's like right before trial. We're sitting in her little office, and she had the pictures that I had taken of Lewis in the cell of his scratches. And she said, Woody, what do these look like to you? And I looked at them again, and you remember in earlier episodes, I told y'all that I knew they weren't defensive scratches. I've seen it too many times. They weren't gouges. They were almost like little dotted bumps, but significant. But it wasn't a continuous slash or tearing of the skin. It was like lines. And I told her, I said, Charlotte, Shetty, you know what? I remember seeing that night and seeing him wiping the blood in the tissue and looking at the scratches and looking at them when I took the photographs of him. And I had him naked in the cell, and he even had a couple on his leg that weren't as prominent as those. She said, yeah, here's a picture right here. I said, yeah. I said, I don't know. I said, I know it's not Kaitlin's fingernails. So she said, no, it's not. She said, well, look at this. And she had pictures of where Kaitlin's body had been found in that bayou in Ascension Parish, but it was daylight photographs. And remember, when I went out there that night, it was already dark when they were pulling Kaitlin from the water. But I told you about the thick undergrowth in the trees. I mean, it was a perfect spot, the little bitch, to dispose of a body, if you will, because he's in a panic. Like I say, he ran like a little bitch, and then he acted like a little bitch. And if he didn't think it through, all he sees is some thick bushes that he can go into and get cover to dump Kaitlin's body. Well, the pictures that Charlotte had of that area, fuck, it's a briar patch. Briars are bushes that have thousands and thousands of small thorns. When she showed me that, I said, holy shit, Charlotte. I said, I should have known. I should have fucking known. Because I'm a big hunter and I'm a big fisherman, and I pick dewberries. If y'all know what those are in South Louisiana, and during the springtime they come up. It's a berry, but they grow in the briar patch, and that's what it was. Fuck, I've been scratched 1,000 times like that, and I don't know why to this day I didn't catch it, but it really wouldn't have mattered, I don't guess. But I should have called it. But she said, Woody, look, and I was like, fuck, that's it. I said, it's a briar patch, and she said, that's right. She said he got those scratches when he hurried up and just plunged into those bushes for concealment and dumped her body. And I was like, you're right. I agree with you 1,000%. So we go to trial, and trial began that Monday, and they have what they call voir dire, and it's basically just jury selection. I think they had to run what we call 3 separate panels to get the members for the jury. And a panel, y'all, there's 14 seats in a jury box, and 12 for the regular jurors and 2 for alternates. So they would put 14 people who had been subpoenaed to possibly be a juror in Kaitlin's trial. And so the courtroom's full of people, and the judge introduced himself, and I always went to voir dire, but I was sitting over on the side listening. Anyway, so the judge comes, introduces, explains the process, and they bring the first 14 people in, and they ask them questions, they being Charlotte Hebert and McKee was the defense attorney's name. And they'll ask him questions about this and that. And y'all been convicted of a crime, or do you have any family members that have been convicted of a crime? Then they'll read the witness list or the potential witness list. So y'all know any of these people? And the prosecution gets so many strikes to cancel out jurors, and the defense gets so many strikes, and then the judge can kick out anybody he wants, right? So they would go through this process and question every potential juror until that panel's over. Let's say they strike 6 off the first panel. So there's 8 left. And then the next panel fills in a 14. Then those 8 are already jurors, right? Been selected the first 8. So they go until all the spots are filled. And I think it went through 3 times, 3 rounds or panels, and they seated the jury, and it was 8 women and 4 men, and the 2 alternates, one was a man and one was a woman. Now, trial began. And of course, Charlotte gave her an opening statement, and basically, to sum it up, she said, what a piece of shit.
Hey, y'all, let me tell you about Gobble. All Gobble meal kits are pre-prepped. That means less work for you and less waste in your kitchen. Their meal kits include everything you need, so you can save time at the store or just skip that trip entirely. I got the box in, and I had 3 different meals. I had a Kung Pao chicken, crispy fish tacos, and a beef bourguignon, however you say it. But let me tell you about the classic beef bourguignon. Look, it came with beef pot roast and a beef broth concentrate, red wine demi-glace, cremini mushrooms, cipollone onions, mashed potatoes, baby carrots, and rosemary thyme butter. It was so easy to make. Literally like 15 minutes it took Cindy. And let me tell you something, and all the dishes were fire, but this thing was like a taste explosion in my mouth. It's just unreal. We've got to spend more time together and more time doing the things we love, because everything came in this one single box right to my door. So see what a difference Gobble will make for your household. Right now, they're offering my listeners a fantastic limited time deal. You get $120 off across 4 boxes, plus free shipping and free cookies. And let me tell you, those cookies, I ate one that was sin baked and it was delicious. Go to gobble.com/reallife. That's GOBBLE.com/real-life for $120 off your first 4 boxes. This offer is not available on the home site, so don't miss out. This is genius. It's taste explosions in your mouth like you never had. Hey, y'all, let me tell you about Mochi. Mochi is a telehealth platform that connects patients seeking medication-based weight loss treatment with board-certified doctors and dietitians to help them determine the best treatment options to accomplish that goal. Mochi's program is completely virtual, meaning you can access their services anywhere in the United States and you will be meeting with their team online. You deserve doctors that listen. Mochi is dedicated to providing holistic, patient-centered care that prioritizes overall well-being with the goal of transforming how weight management is approached. Mochi Health takes a holistic approach to weight loss that includes visit with board-certified doctors, nutrition consultations, and medications delivered to your door. Science-backed medications including GLP-1s like Ozempic and generic compound versions, affordable and accessible, regardless of insurance coverage. With Mochi, their dietitians work hand in hand with your medication to create personalized nutrition plans that fit your lifestyle. Reach your weight loss goals with science-backed, FDA-approved GLP-1 medications and support from real doctors and guidance from registered dietitians and help with making easy and sustainable changes to achieve results. Y'all have seen this. My wife has done it. My brother-in-law has done it. One of my best friends is doing it, and it really is an amazing process that works. So get started at joinmochi.com and use code RLRC to receive $40 off. That's joinmochi.com and use code RLRC to receive $40 off and let Mochi help change your life.
Mark Lewis is. But of course now she can't say anything about his past conviction, but that they dropped it to attempted simple kidnapping, but it should have been aggravated kidnapping and the whole thing could have been avoided. But she can't say anything about that, but she goes on to lay out her case, not in detail, but saying that the evidence will prove that Mark Lewis killed Kaitlin. And then the defense attorney gets up and says, oh, this is all going to be circumstantial evidence and you have to find it beyond a reasonable doubt. You can't do that because nobody can put Kaitlin together with Mark Lewis that day, et cetera, blah, 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 whatever. So then we're sequestered. And by we, I mean Ben Ballard, myself, the Louisiana State Police people that are going to testify and all the witnesses. And sequestered is we're locked out of the courtroom. But so you can't hear other people's testimony or the questions on redirect from the defense. And so you can't change your testimony. It's only fair enough. Doesn't matter. The statements don't change. I think probably Miss Danette went first and established that Kaitlin was her daughter and how tight they were and how Kaitlin never went without having her cell phone on and how she spoke to Kaitlin when she got off the school bus that day. And I think probably the school bus driver went next. The school bus driver said, yes, they dropped Kaitlin off at her house at 3:00 that day. And then one of Caitlin's little friends, I think it's her best friend, I think her last name was Bourgeois, testified that she had a call from Kaitlin, like just right after 3:00. I mean, like soon as she got home, evidently. And as she told Kaitlin she'd have to call her back, and she called Kaitlin back after 4 p.m. and Kaitlin didn't answer. The neighbor who went in the residence and saw Caitlin's book bag on the bed testified. And Charlotte's just basically laying out her case. And it went 26 witnesses, I think, in all that she did in just a couple days. And the case was laid out like this. Charlotte establishes that Kaitlin makes it home through the cell phone records and the bus driver saying she dropped her off. Miss Danette talking to her while she's at home. The friend talking to her and saying she'll have to call her back. And then a representative from ETEL, which is the local cable television company, but they also do home phone service, like for dirt cheap. You know, if you get a monthly package for cable service, you get a home phone for $9.99 a month, something like that. Caitlin's last incoming call that was answered on her cell phone came from, wait for it, Mark Lewis's residence at 3:06 p.m. She was never heard from again. She never answered her cell phone again. Let's say that. And then we testified, Ben and I testified, and I testified the same thing that I've told y'all already, that I was called out by Ben, and because Danette got home and she called 911, and the uniform guy called Ben, and then Ben called me. And we went through the process about how we interviewed him in his house. The washer and dryer were going. He had fresh scratches on his face. He takes the comforter out of the dryer and goes and puts it on the bed. I had Ben go outside and ask the wife, did he ever do the laundry, and would there be any reason for him to do the laundry? And she said no. And come back and ask him, and he says, yeah, he does the laundry all the time. Now, you have to remember also, we had the knowledge from Ben Ballard that Craig Semino had called in and gave a statement about Mark Lewis coming to his house and all that transpired after that. So, including him being Lewis, asking Semino to alibi him for about 4:30 p.m. that afternoon that Kaitlin went missing. Ben testifies to his, I testify to mine. And we build it up all the way up until the arrest. And the photograph, of the scratches that I did, Charlotte had them blown up, and so the jury could see it and asked me, and I answered. And then trial progresses. The defense attorney, he's fucking dumbass. He just tried to naturally say that we had tunnel vision, or I had tunnel vision, and I never let the investigation go anywhere else besides Mark Lewis. And I said, you're absolutely right. I said, I never got off of Mark Lewis. And he said, why not? And I said, because the evidence pointed to him. And I said, I had to work this case as any case to conclusion. I said, I'm not telling you if somebody else had come up and another angle that it wouldn't have been worked. I said, but I'm telling you, your boy showed up with scratches on his face, and he lied about being at work, and he lied about going to visit his mama in the hospital, and he lied and tried to get Craig Semino to lie to him to alibi him out. Every time I'd say I would point at Mark Lewis, and I kept pointing at him. He just turned beet fucking red. And I would do that, y'all. Courtroom tricks. I would never look the defense attorney in the face. Every time I'm answering a question, I'm turning to my left and looking at the jury in the eyes and pointing at Mark Lewis, saying he lied and he asked for an alibi for the time that Kaitlin was murdered or disappeared. And he is the one with the fresh scratches on his face, et cetera, et cetera. It's pretty powerful stuff. And I learned that from Kearney Foster, who's probably the most brilliant detective mind ever of all times. But I watched him in another murder trial when I was a rookie detective do that. And it's very effective, and did it to the point where I kept pointing at him. Lewis actually reached up and grabbed McKee's sleeve and said, make him stop pointing at me. Like, fuck you, Lewis. Of course, I couldn't say that. And so I testified what I had to, and McKee got off of me pretty quick because he realized, hey, I'm not going to shake this guy up. I'm not going to rattle him. And I'm doing more harm here than good because he's up here pointing at my guy, driving home all the bad points about him. So I was pretty much quickly dismissed. Charlotte might have asked me a follow-up question too. I don't remember, but it wasn't important. Or just would have been because she was sharp. If there was anything McKee might have planted in the juror's mind, she cleared it up. So I'm dismissed, which means I can come back in and sit for the rest of the trial, right? Which I always do. During my testimony, I explained about getting the search warrant for Lewis's truck and having it sent to the crime lab and doing the search warrant on the resident's computer and all that stuff. So the Louisiana State Police crime lab people start to testify. The assistant coroner from Ascension Parish, I think, actually testified first, and she testified that Kaitlin was strangled and that she was found with her clothes on, all of her clothes on, including 2 jackets, but her pants were unzipped. Then the crime lab techs, the main one being Patrick Lane, and he's an old school veteran. And Patrick, I hope one day you get to hear my episodes because I have several that include you in it. But Patrick was the chief examiner of firearms and all the different things. He's just a shit. He's the CSI guy. If you ever watch those shows, which I don't, but whoever leads the CSI people, Patrick Lane's the one. I know he had to be the most senior lab technician for the Louisiana State Police. So Patrick Lane gets up there, and McKee, the defense attorney, starts to go at him and basically talking about the hairs and the blood drops that were found in the back seat of Lewis's truck. And he is trying to discredit Patrick. And Patrick's like, you want me to explain that to you? And the dumbass defense attorney says, I don't know. Do I? And Patrick said, well, let me explain it to you. And then he explained that the blood and the hair were found down low on the seat. And in his experience, that was consistent with the body being dragged from the vehicle. And so it just shut McKee up, right? And I don't know, y'all, let me tell you about the blood real quick. The reason there would have been blood if someone's choked to death, when you crush the neck like that, you actually have blood vessels inside of your neck that are crushed. And I've seen it several times that blood actually comes in the forms of almost spittle that lasts. When they're spitting out, choking up, the blood comes out. So that's where that came from. And the hairs, obviously, Kaitlin had, she didn't have short hair. And I think he being shitbag Lewis had her and choked. You know, when you grab somebody like that, you're not going to take your time to move the hair out of the way. So I think he had his hands around her neck and choking her with the hairs in his hands. So that's explained. But then there's other things that are added. His computer comes back. The computer expert testifies that, first of all, somebody at the Lewis residence viewed Kaitlin Adele's MySpace profile the night before she was kidnapped and murdered. They also testified, the computer expert testified, that Lewis was watching pornography all day long, pretty much from the computer. I mean, there was nobody else home. The wife was at work and the stepson was in school. That's proven. And so it had to be him, right? Plus we had the neighbor testify that Lewis's truck was there all day up until 2 p.m., sometime shortly after 2 p.m. when she left to go wherever she noticed it was there. So he's there to pretty much all day beating off to porn. We know he checked out her MySpace the night before, and whether that fantasy covered over to the next day. And his employer from the tow truck company takes a stand and testifies that Lewis called in that morning and said he wasn't coming to work. And no, he was not at work and did not get scratches from a tow truck hitting him in the face. Fucking lame excuse, right? And he did not get in a fight that day or the day before at work. And the last time he was there, he had no scratches. It's just Charlotte picking apart everything that Lewis could say, or everything that he did say, and proving him for the piece of shit liar that he is. She being Charlotte, put on the K9 handler that came in. Remember I told you about the dog that is trained to smell decomposing flesh. And that man came in and testified that the K9 alerted on the washer and dryer and on the guest bedroom area. Boom. And he explained in detail about how the dogs are only trained to smell decay in flesh and how instantly whatever the chemical is swaps over. I'm no scientist, but you get the gist of it, right? You kill somebody, as soon as you kill them, dogs are trained to pick up whatever scent it is that it gives off. So he testifies. Then Charlotte puts on Lewis's stepson. The boy's name was Michael. I think it was his stepson. And he testifies that he did not look at Kaitlin's MySpace the night before. So again, that shows that it had to be Lewis, right? And he testified that Lewis did not have scratches on his face. He saw him that morning before he went to school. And then Mark Lewis did not have scratches on his face before he left. So there was another guy. What was his name? There's another guy that Lewis worked with a couple years before at a grocery store when Kaitlin was 11 years old. And he went to a housewarming party at Lewis's house, the trailer that we did the search warrant on, and the dog alerted in. But after Kaitlin was found murdered and Lewis was charged, this guy came forward and gave a sworn statement that when he went over to the housewarming party that he saw Kaitlin, and Mark was standing next to him. Mark Lewis was, and Mark said that he had looked up Kaitlin's shorts when she was over one day and that he wanted to hit that meaning he wanted to have sex with her. Fuck, she was 11 years old, man. And when a question by the defense attorney, the guy says that, hey, I didn't know. I thought maybe he was clowning around or something. I didn't know, but I thought it was important that I came forward and said that after I knew that he had been arrested for her murder. I mean, fuck. So that was another key piece of evidence. And I don't think I'm leaving anything out, y'all. Well, let me do this. Charlotte put on Mark Lewis's daughter. And this is, remember now, when his daughters would come over to play, Kaitlin came over every time. And the daughter testified that Kaitlin always rode in the front seat, that she never saw her in the back seat of Lewis's truck. ever. I think that's because it's part of Lewis's fantasy and grooming over the 2 years before he killed her. I mean, he's looking at her panties through her shorts on the couch, telling his friends then he wants to hit that. And what does he do for the next 2 years? I mean, he wants her over there all the time so he can continue his fantasy and try to groom and build up to his day, right, of hitting that. And when the daughter testifies that she never, ever sat in the back seat of the truck, she being Kaitlin, then that absolutely takes away any reason for there to be Caitlin's DNA evidence and blood and hair low down in the backseat of the truck. And the little girl did well on the stand until Charlotte asked her to point out her dad in the courtroom. And the little girl pointed at him and she started crying. So that pretty much wrapped it up. And there's 26 witnesses, y'all. I know I'm leaving something out, but you get the gist of the case and how it was handled. In the closing arguments, the defense attorney's whole deal was that the cops got it wrong. They got tunnel vision. They never looked at anybody else. It was circumstantial. We couldn't prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. Nobody could put Lewis and her together. And, just basically saying we got it all wrong. And that he said that anybody would have got up there and testified against Mark Lewis just because he seemed like such an evil guy, because he was accused of killing a little girl, right? And so, fuck you. That's weak. I guess his attempt to cover up the guy who works at a supermarket being at Mark Lewis's housewarming party and him saying he looked up her shorts. The fucking pervert. And you know what? Craig Semino, y'all know about him from the previous episodes, key witness. He testified to everything we talked about before. And anyway, that's it. So the defense attorney says we got it wrong. Then Charlotte closes in. And what I won't forget from her closing is she basically sums everything up and she ends it with this. You go back and you find him guilty of murder and you come out and you give the guilty verdict. Guess what? She turned and she pointed at Mark Lewis. She said, he won't be surprised. He already knows he's the murderer. And that was pretty powerful shit. And Charlotte was good, right? So they take him out, the jury, and the judge gives instructions on what you can find him guilty of, what have you, whatnot. And the jury goes out to do the vote. And I'm going to stop it right there because I have some very, very important material to add in at this point before the jury returns with their verdict next week. And it's way too long to go into in this episode. But I do believe I'll be concluding the Screwdriver Red series next week. But it's very important that you tune in. There's more murder and I believe more victimization by Mark Lewis that's not even known.
Hey, y'all. You want to set your child up for success? Is your child struggling with a specific subject or need help with the subject? Is your child ahead? Not getting challenged enough in class? Well, IXL Learning is an online learning program that enriches your homeschool curriculum. It offers practice in math, English, language arts, science, and social studies while adapting to each child, meeting them where they are. Plus, IXL encourages students to become curious and empowers them to choose how to learn. Look, we homeschool our son. No doubt about it. He's more of a visual learner and we use IXL and Cindy teaches him, and there are so many different benefits to the program. It adapts to exactly what he needs in different areas. So IXL is the perfect supplement to your homeschool curriculum. IXL offers interactive practice problems, educational games, lessons, and video tutorials for every topic you're teaching at home. It's easy to use, time-saving. Everything on IXL is organized by grade, subject, topic, and subtopic, making it simple to find activities for the exact skills you are covering. IXL offers instant feedback and explanations of new topics as kids use the program. Kids can explore any topic in any grade level. They aren't forced into a single learning path like they are on other programs. If you're homeschooling your child because they were falling behind or because they were too far ahead like our son, IXL is a great program to help them get the exact support they need. Kids love IXL's positive feedback awards and educational games. IXL is trusted by 15 million students worldwide and has proven to improve performance in over 75 scientific research studies. Make an impact on your child's learning. Get IXL now. And Real Life Real Crime listeners can get an exclusive 20% off IXL membership when they sign up today at IXL.com/today. Visit IXL.com/today to get the most effective learning program out there at the best price. And don't forget, Real Life Real Crime listeners get 20% off. Y'all, we really do use this product, and it's been a godsend. Spark something uncommon this holiday with just the right gift from Uncommon Goods. The busy holiday season is here, and Uncommon Goods makes it less stressful with incredible hand-picked gifts for everyone on your list, all in one spot. Gifts that spark joy, wonder, delight, and that's exactly what I wanted feeling. Hey, y'all, I ordered a super cool piece. It's a candle with a sculpture of LSU's Tiger Stadium on top of it. And each officially licensed laser-cut wooden replica features up to 4 layers of detail, creating a bird's eye view of a specific football field, seating section, and more. And every label includes your stadium's name, the team's logo, and school location. And it has a coconut, soy, vegan wax infused with sandalwood smell that creates tailgates and touchdown scent profile, reminiscent of game day. It's invigorating like fresh cut grass and nostalgic like smoke from a pre-game grill, and calming like the crisp autumn air of a new semester on campus. Y'all, I love it. I have it at the base of my TV, and I'm ready to watch the Tigers play on Saturday night, right? Uncommon Goods. Look, when you shop at Uncommon Goods, you're supporting artists and small independent businesses. And many of their handcrafted products are made in small batches. So shop now before they sell out this holiday season. Uncommon Goods looks for products that are high quality, unique, and often handmade or made in the U.S. They have the most meaningful, out-of-the-ordinary gifts anywhere. They even have gifts you can personalize. From holiday hosts and hostess gifts to the coolest finds for kids, to hits for everyone from the book lovers to die-hard sports fans. Uncommon Goods has something for everyone, not the same old selections you can just find anywhere. And with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $3 million to date. So to get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/RLRC. That's uncommongoods.com/RLRC for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary.
Yet, and wouldn't be known until many, 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 many years later after the trial. So y'all stay tuned, and it's important. It's a hard story to tell. The next section is going to be pretty emotional, but you won't regret it. Okay. So that's it. Tune in next week for the conclusion of the Screwdriver Red series. And I'm your host, Woody Overton. And don't let me catch you down on Murder by You. All right, everybody. I told you at the beginning of the show, stay tuned. We're going to do some shout outs and talking and stuff and thank yous and what have you. So Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast, just over 3 months old. And this morning we passed 83,000 downloads. And last night, our private Facebook group that's titled Real Life, Real Crime, Friends, Fans, and Crew passed 1,000 members. Unbelievable, y'all. And if you're not a member of that page, you need to check it out. We have 3 Facebook pages. We have the one that's open to the general public, and that's just a Real Life, Real Crime fan page. And then we have the one I'm telling you about that passed 1,000 members. You have to actually ask to join that group. You have to be approved. And that's because my dream team of moderators, they're awesome. And one day I'll have a special just on them, but they are from all over the world, and they have to screen everybody that wants to join the private group, because you get a lot of trolls and you get some shitheads that want to start trouble, whatever. And in the group, we don't discuss politics or religion. There's no hate speech or anything like that. It's strictly about real life, real crime. And there's a lot of bonus material in the episodes and a lot of contests and just so awesome. All the fans from around the world sharing their thoughts and about different things. Shit, it's just a plethora of information and fun. I mean, I'm on it like 1,400 times a day, it seems like. But I was looking at the stats last night when we hit 1,000, and we had almost 13,000 posts and clicks and likes and shares in the last 29 days, over 13,000 interactions. And that's a lot. If you're not a member, check it out. I mean, it's for your benefit. I don't get paid for you being in the group or anything like that. But I think if you like real life, real crime, then you'd be remiss to not check it out. We have one Dream Team moderator who we're just going to call her a researcher, Karen Ortolano, who comes up with shit that you wouldn't believe. She's found a lot of articles on our episodes, which we're going to be posting to our regular website soon. And I mean, she's found articles on me from my career way back when that I didn't even know existed. Just a lot of super cool stuff. And Dream Team moderators, I love y'all. Appreciate you. You know who you are. And we're rocking it. We're killing it. And then our third Facebook page is Real Life, Real Crime. Lanyap, it's a Cajun word for something extra, free, or bonus. On the Lanyap page was started by my wife, Cindy, and it's a way for fans to interact about things that they like, hobbies or whatever it is they growing in their garden or what have you. And I've requested to exchange beers and hot sauces and stuff with different fans. And Anthony Parliament sent me a hell of a box of beers of flavors you knew couldn't dream of. And we did a video on that, and it's on that page. And then the other day Cindy and I got in a package from Cassie Wallace, who's from Bowling Green, Kentucky. And she sent us some of the most delicious Kringle. It's not a cake. I don't know which is like a huge pastry thing. There's two of them. Then she sent me like 4 different bottles of Bloody Mary mix and a thing of hot sauce. So Cassie, I appreciate that. And that video's there. And we have another Dream Team moderator post on there in the evening times when he's cooking or doing his garden, Ryan Horan, my buddy. And Jenny White, whose husband does the most outstanding coins in the world. I'm pretty sure Lanyap was created the page after you sent us the packages of coins, but Jenny White has sent us 2 packages, and one with some coins, and then she sent one to my wife with a keychain on it. Anyway, those videos, if they're not on the Lanyap page, then go to our YouTube channel. It's Real Life, Real Crime Podcast, and you have to go to the little search engine box thingy, whatever they call it, on YouTube, and you type in Real Life, Real Crime Podcast, and it'll bring you to our page. And it has every one of our episodes, every one of our bonus episodes. It has the videos I'm telling you about, and it'll have more videos that we're going to be uploading from the Lanyap page on it. And so y'all go to YouTube and subscribe, okay? And just check us out. Now, Patreon members, well, you know, it's awesome, y'all. The Patreon is a way to help monetize Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. And I know we're not profitable by any stretch of means of the matter. And it takes a lot of time and effort to do this. We do it because we love it. But Patreon is a way for members to support us financially by pledging X amount, and whatever amount they pledge, they get a certain gift tier or gifts or bonus materials, what have you, from Real Life, Real Crime and me. And so I want to take a minute to talk about our latest couple patrons. Okay. One is Maureen. I don't know what your last name is, Maureen, Maureen. And Maureen has already messaged me since she became a patron member about an idea as to who to have for a guest on the show. And Maureen, we're absolutely going to do that. I talked to that person today and she's down with it. Maureen, thank you for being a patron member. We love you. Thank you for your support. It's awesome and it really helps out. Thank you. And then we have Miss Meg, and the last name is Mihaly. I said Mahaley. Meg Mahaley. Join Meg. We really appreciate you. I love you. And thank you for supporting the show. It's huge. And don't forget to use y'all's hotline numbers where you can call in anytime and say anything you want or ask any question you want, etc. And when I get enough, I do hotline episodes, and they've been a huge success in the past. I'm talking about we had thousands of downloads instantly off of them. So people like it, y'all. But the Patreon members, if you don't want to use your voice, you hear me say this every week, but I'm going to say it again. You wouldn't believe how many people don't want to hear their own voice, right? So if you don't want to use your own voice, text me your message and I'll read it on the show. It's a fun thing, y'all, and we enjoy it. So thank you, Meg. Now, there's next two, John Laudermill and then Tanya Hano. That's Hano. These two I worked with. Now, you heard me in a couple episodes talk about John Laudermill, especially if you're a patron member, because I think most of John's episodes were locked up in the patron vault. And John was my supervisor in uniform patrol at the sheriff's office, and we were peas in the pod, right? We even share the same date of birth, February 5th. And although I won't say who's older and who's younger, John, like personalities, and he would go on into detectives, and then I went into detectives, and we were also on the special response team or SWAT team together. John's a super class A guy. He was a great law enforcement officer. He's out of law enforcement now. Also, he's no longer in it, but great guy. And he will be on our show in the immediate future. Love you, buddy. All right. Tanya Hano, one of my first dispatchers I ever had in law enforcement, and a lifelong, it seems like I say lifelong, 20-year-long friend now. Tanya was super duper, just absolute best dispatcher a person could ask for. She knew our personalities. She knew if sugar turned to shit, she knew it. I mean, if she knew she didn't hear from me in a couple minutes, or she ever called me and I was out on a call and I didn't answer, she needed to send a posse, right? Because it was going down. Anyway, we hung out a lot in our off time, and her sister and brother-in-law were longtime dear friends of mine. I hadn't seen them in a long time, but Tanya, you tell Tony and Kim hello, and I love you, sweetie. And if you can come on the show, you got to come on as a guest, and we'll talk about some of the funny shit, right? Like the patron episode we just locked up this week. Tanya is responsible, one of the two dispatchers responsible for sending me to that call. And it's really, really fucking funny. If you get a chance, listen to it. If you're not a patron member, you want to check it out. It's rlrcpodcast.com, and check out the tiers and join up. And thank you, Tanya. We love you so much. And y'all, if you're not a patron member, I don't care. I love each and every one of you. I appreciate you. There's a reason we are breaking records and downloads for this short of a time. And that's because all of y'all are liking and sharing and subscribing. I can't ask for more than that, right? I mean, I get messages from people all over the world that just make my day. Little me, right? Who would have known? Who could have guessed, other than my wife, who could have guessed that me telling stories would have been such a hit? And I'm humbled by it, but I'm also having the time of my life. And so if you would just tell two other people that you know about real life, real crime, if you enjoy it, or leave us a review on iTunes or wherever it is that you listen to it. I mean, we're on every platform. Okay. I don't think there's anything out there that we're not on. Stitcher and whatever. I don't know all of them. Real life, real crime, wherever you listen to it, leave us a review, and I appreciate you. If y'all could do that and subscribe and just share it so we can continue to grow. And I love each and every one of you, and I appreciate it. And we are on Instagram, and we are on Twitter, and I told you we're on YouTube, and 3 times on Facebook. And there's some other platforms that the Dream Team are looking at. And we're growing leaps and bounds, and I love each and every one of you. And I tell you what, if you're not a member of the Facebook group, you better do it before Thursday, because this is the week we're rolling out to Crime Con in New Orleans, which is right down the street from me, practically 40 minutes away. And we're going to meet on Thursday night. And I don't imagine we'll stop until Sunday when we come home with hangovers. But so every night we're going to go live to our Facebook pages, and I'm going to do a live polygraph, and we're going to do some live stuff from the meet and greets, and it's going to be pretty stupid. There's no telling what's going to happen, but I promise you this, that it'll be unedited and live, raw and uncensored, just like Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. So y'all check that out and join up and share it. And I don't know exactly the hours that the live broadcasts will be going on, but I can tell you they're going to be in the evening times. When by evening, I mean after 6:00 p.m. So be on the lookout for that. And when we get back from Crime Con, we'll have a whole new platform. We have new equipment. We have people that are helping us with the audio and video productions and to make it more consistent and better. So that is coming. Even though we have new equipment, we're still learning it. We promise you we're going to get better each and every episode. And I think we've upheld that promise so far. We're not perfect, and we never will be in my mind, but we're working on it. I promise you we'll be better. And real quick, I got to say something about Tyler Allen. It's Allen in Minds of Madness. We did a promo for them last week. His show is just freaking amazing, and he's won all kinds of awards in Canada. But you know what? He is a super dude. He is one of the ones that have reached out to actually help us with the audio portions of Real Life, Real Crime. So you can't say enough about a class act. This guy's at the top of the game. He's like number one in Canada, and, or at least, I mean, one podcast of the year award up there and all that stuff, and best voice and all that. And he wants to help us. I mean, he didn't have to do that. So Tyler, we appreciate you, and Becky, your wife. That's Tyler Allen with Minds of Madness. And I'm going to end today's episode finally, y'all, telling you about Mike Burton and Genuine Chit Chat. Now, Mike wanted to cross promo with us, and we absolutely love it. He's not in true crime per se. He just interviews people from all different walks of life, from the CEO to whomever. It's interesting, and really it's about the art of conversation. He does a real good job with it, and he's asked me to be a guest on the show, and I think that'll air sometime in September. So Mike Burton, really appreciate you, and we're going to play his promo now. So y'all give him a look, or a listen, I guess you would say. So we're going to play the promo now.
Hi, I'm Mike from the Genuine Chit Chat podcast, where we have honest conversations with interesting people. I speak to a wide variety of guests, including CEOs of businesses, psychologists, authors, musicians, travellers, people suffering with physical and mental illnesses, and everyone in between. Where we speak about a large variety of topics, including music and movies and pop culture, but also some more controversial topics, including drug reform, political correctness, and many more. No subject is off limits. You can find us on all the usual podcast places, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts, as well as on YouTube, and you can follow us in all the usual social media places. And to be clear, I don't expect everyone listening to enjoy every episode of my show. What I do think is that due to the wide variety of guests and topics, that there'll be at least one episode that each person listening will enjoy. So if you still appreciate the art of conversation and want to hear honest conversations with interesting people, then be sure to check out Genuine Chit Chat in all the usual places.
Okay, y'all, that's Mike Burton with Genuine Chit Chat, the podcast. Cool dude. When you go check him out, let him know that Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast, and Woody Overton sent you. All right. I love y'all all. Love you all, y'all. And I'm saying goodbye for today. Tune in next week. You got to hear this conclusion. It's going to blow your mind. And tune in next week. And I'm Woody Overton, your host of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. Don't let me catch you down on Murder by You.
Want no sugar in my coffee. It make me